Welcome back to Recap Time. Today, I'll talk about the short film Curve, released in 2021. In the movie's opening, we see a woman lying unconscious on a concrete floor, her finger bleeding, and her shoes stained with red, dried blood. Surprisingly, she appears mostly unharmed given her situation. Simultaneously, we witness clips of high waves crashing onto the shore. The crashing waves create a terrifying noise that reverberates through the woman's surroundings, eventually waking her from her unconscious state. Upon waking, all she sees is concrete. Confused, she moves for the first time and realizes she's in a terrible situation. The woman is on the edge of a curved structure at a significant height, with a dark void below. Death is ensured if she makes one wrong move and falls off the edge. In addition to that, the position she's in doesn't help her cause. Her left leg is folded under her body with no way to bring it out. When the woman first sees the edge, she freaks out as expected. She tries to retreat, however, the movement does nothing but slide her further below. Fortunately for her, she doesn't fall off just yet, but it is pretty obvious that it's only a matter of time. The slide makes her left leg move upwards, hurting her greatly. In addition, her palms are scraped because of the rough and hard concrete. Her breath rises as she silently prays for her life, even though the chances of her survival are nil. Following that, we see a full view of the structure she's stuck in, and it seems to be a hydropower plant. Even if she manages to get far from the edge, the upright wall behind her won't allow her to escape. But the wall is the least of her concerns at the moment. As she curses the situation she's in, a loud horn blows from the void below. The noise startles her and makes the fall even more dreadful. She thinks for a moment and rationalizes that the noise must be because of the wind. The information relieves her a bit, until a louder roar is heard seconds later. The woman looks at the sky in frustration and lets out a scream. A few minutes later, everything goes dead silent. The only thing she hears is her rapid breathing, and the thoughts in her head telling her to survive one way or the other. She knows that staying still will eventually kill her. She also understands that moving might kill her instantly. Still, she's willing to take the risk. After a few long breaths to calm herself down, she places her hands and right leg sturdily in the concrete and tries to turn herself around. The plan backfires when she slides further down and is now on the absolute edge of the curve. She holds herself down trying to remain calm. A few seconds in, she finally understands that she has to give up on trying to straighten her leg. The only way for her to get away from the edge is to pull herself up in the exact position she's in. But the slide has made her 10 times weaker. Her palms are now bleeding profusely after being scraped. She holds her right hand up and separates two fingers stuck together with blood. Following that, she dries off the blood in her jacket, so her palm wouldn't slide when she attempts to go up again. Even the process of drying is horribly painful, but she endures it bravely. After that, she blows on the wounds, longing for a little bit of relief. Her blows are weak because she's fearful of making the wrong movements that will push her down to her death. After contemplating the next move for a considerable amount of time, she finally puts her uninjured leg up. Her bloodied palms push the concrete curve down as she rises her body in a painful arc of motion. Fortunately for her, the plan works this time and she makes some centimeters worth of progress. The woman sighs in relief and continues taking longer breaths to calm herself. Her palms are now almost numb because of the pain. Still, she puts them up one at a time and blows on them. She doesn't think much before making a similar move again and rises further up. Eventually, the woman starts to hallucinate. She sees the blood prints on the curve below, but her body seems to be missing in her vision. She looks at her palm and back to the blood print and starts to hyperventilate. She is now the furthest away from the edge and behind her is an upright wall. It's evident that she cannot climb up in any condition, but in the moment of panic she doesn't rationalize her next move and tries to climb yet again. She is soon met with the consequences of her hastiness when she slides down a little. The panic makes her hallucinate more severely. She looks below and sees the prints of blood grow longer. She again tries to hold herself up but stops when she hears a loud noise. On looking back at the prints, she notices that 2 more of them have been added. Now, her only options are to either wait for inevitable death or make a move and fall to her death quicker. In her head, something tells her that if she continues with what she was doing, she will surely survive. The wrongful motivation proves that her brain is failing to grab the severity of the situation. After all, in the circumstance that she's in, she's not expected to think clearly. The only problem is that her will to survive might make her fall to her doom earlier than she expected. When everyone else in her place would have given up by now, she would have been the one. She bravely puts her palm up and blows on it, getting ready to push herself up yet another time. In only a second, she slides back down a few centimeters or so. The woman is in no position to lose the progress she has made with much motivation. Her panic starts to grow alongside her hallucination. She looks back down at the prints for the third time, only to notice that they've grown extensively. Suddenly, a screech echoes in the background. The woman likened the noise to her impending demise, a summons from the darkness lurking beneath the edge. At this point, her palms were in shambles, and she scarcely had any unscathed skin left. The sky bellowed in response to her agony, mocking her, yet the woman appeared indifferent. Before long, a torrential downpour began, further complicating her predicament. The uncertainty lingered. Was the rain working against her, hastening her demise, or perhaps aiding her by extinguishing any lingering hope of survival? In those initial moments, she found solace in the raindrops caressing her face. For a brief spell, she felt a strange peace, as if the curve itself was her abode, and she had existed there since time immemorial. Alas, her transient contentment was shattered as the rain rendered the surface slick, initiating her descent. The woman shut her eyes and gritted her teeth, the flame of survival burning undiminished within her. A resounding scream escaped her lips, though it paled in comparison to the thunderous echoes of the clouds. Then, a revelation dawned on her. She wore a chain necklace that could potentially aid her in clenching onto the curve for a more extended period. With determination, she seized the chain around her wrist and wrenched it free from her neck. Even with the chain, her descent persisted, a slow and uncertain progression. The outcome of her ordeal remained ambiguous. Survival seemed improbable given the circumstances. Distinct from typical horror films reliant on jump scares, this movie masterfully crafts a pervasive atmosphere, allowing viewers to empathize with the characters' terror and apprehension. Enthusiasts of the film acclaim its excellence on multiple fronts, asserting that it taps into the viewer's primal human instincts. It awakens latent fears, unveiling nightmares previously concealed. That concludes our exploration of this video. I trust you found it engaging. Subscribe for a continuous stream of similar content. Lend your support by hitting the like button. And drop a comment if you wish for us to recap your preferred movie. Until our next encounter, stay well.